Hi, my name is Joshua Chism, and I am from the University of Oklahoma. Today, we will be talking about vocal pedagogy course requirements for pre-service choral music educators. What we know is that there have been some studies about choral methods courses. There have been studies about vocal pedagogy courses at the graduate level. We also know that there are publications, both practitioner and at the book level, designed to equip the choral music educator in vocal pedagogy concepts. However, we also know that according to the study in 2004, that not many institutions have a dedicated and required vocal pedagogy class for their undergraduates. So we need to investigate this. Currently there's no other study on this particular topic. We also know that choral directors in many classrooms are the only source of official vocal instruction that many of our choristers will receive. As such, it is incredibly important that we know how our future music teachers are being instructed according to vocal pedagogy concepts. The purpose of this study was to investigate just that: vocal pedagogy courses required for pre-service choir directors in NASM accredited institutions from the Southwest region of ACDA. There were four questions that guided my study. Number one has to do with institutional requirements. What are the institutional vocal pedagogy requirements? How are vocal pedagogy courses configured? Number of credit hours, number of semesters, what's being required at the institutional level? Number two, who's teaching? What is the background, the education, and experience of these instructors? For the schools that do not have a vocal pedagogy course, how are these institutions incorporating this subject into their overall music education curriculum, if at all? And fourthly, for the institutions that do have a specific vocal pedagogy course, what topics, what materials, what methods and activities are most common to these types of courses? The participants came from the states in the SWACTA ACDA region, Arkansas, Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. They were NASM certified institutions from these states. That yielded 118 institutions. And of course, we could only limit it to those that offer a degree leading to teacher certification. That was 104 institutions. So of those 104 institutions, they all received a survey, and 42 were received, a few were thrown out because they were incomplete, so that left us with 37 responses for a response rate of 35.6%. The survey instrument itself asked demographic questions about background and school type. There were also Likert type questions and some open-ended responses. This allowed for participants to elaborate on their thoughts and feelings about vocal pedagogy at their particular institution. And participants also had the opportunity to attach their vocal pedagogy syllabus. That way I could investigate really what's happening in these specific courses. Data collection. Data came from institutional catalogs. All 104 qualifying institutions, I checked what their specific school requires and what they offer. Of course, there were the surveys, and of those surveys that went out, 18 institutions submitted their syllabi. I ended up with 20 syllabi, and they were coded in 2 cycles, and the coding was peer reviewed. Of the 104 institutions that I examined, 61 require 1 semester of dedicated vocal pedagogy. 13 require vocal pedagogy combined with some other topic like literature, diction, or choral methods. 3 institutions require 2 semesters of dedicated vocal pedagogy. Interestingly, 1 institution required 2 semesters combined with vocal literature. So it was vocal literature and pedagogy 1 and 2. So those 2 topics spread out over a year. And 25%, 26 of the respondents said that their institution does not require any specific vocal pedagogy course. This lines up with the survey results. The same question was asked of all of those participants. So the self-reported data from those 37 surveys said that yes, 81%, we require our students to take some form of vocal pedagogy course, whether it is a combination or dedicated. and almost 19% said no. Looking at those that do require vocal pedagogy courses, the question was, does your institution adequately prepare pre-service music teachers in vocal pedagogy concepts? As can be seen, 86.2% or 25 respondents either agree or strongly agree that their institution adequately prepares pre-service music teachers in vocal pedagogy concepts. Interestingly, you can see the little arrows there. 3 respondents either disagree or strongly disagree, and that's because they state that their curriculum isn't doing enough, that one semester isn't enough. One respondent says, our music education students are only required to take 1 semester of vocal pedagogy. I feel strongly that 2 semesters should be required. Another respondent says, at our school, there is a 3 credit hour class that covers diction, pedagogy, and vocal literature, insinuating that combination classes are not adequate. All right. This next question has to do with vocal pedagogy combination courses. The prompt was, vocal pedagogy should be combined with other courses like diction or literature. And 72%, 26 participants either disagree or strongly disagree with this statement. Instructors believe that vocal pedagogy classes should stand on their own. For institutions who did not require a specific vocal pedagogy course, I wanted to find out the ways and the strategies that these institutions employed for incorporating this curriculum for their pre-service music educators. And 3 trends really emerged. Number 1, hidden curriculum. Number 2, interwoven content. And number 3, the value versus the time. The hidden curriculum, participants stated that, that they strongly recommend that this course is taken, that it's highly recommended, that they encourage their pre-service music teachers to take these types of courses, even though they are not specifically required by course catalogs. It's not on the books in these types of situations, but in many cases, pre-service music teachers are strongly encouraged to take them, which brings up, of course, the element that there are components of the curriculum that are hidden, that are not explicit for our pre-service music educators. Secondly, instructors at institutions who do not require a specific vocal pedagogy course are weaving this content into other areas of the curriculum, specifically private lessons, studio classes, master classes, but it's also woven into conducting courses, into choral methods and choral techniques courses. Lastly, instructors at these institutions, they do see the value of a specific vocal pedagogy course. However, they often state that their curriculum is overpacked, that there's no room in the curriculum, that there is very little scheduling flexibility for their students. Many professionals state that they are currently revamping and overhauling their school's curriculum to allow the flexibility needed to require a dedicated vocal pedagogy course. We turn now to the specific syllabi. As you can see, those 6 texts are the primary materials that are required for these types of courses. These courses also utilized a variety of audiovisual and supplementary materials, including a wide variety of YouTube videos and DVDs addressing all those different concepts. Also, professional and practitioner journal articles from a variety of sources, as well as portions from additional textbooks, all of which is available on the handout. Turning now specifically to the topics and the pacing of these syllabi, several trends did emerge. There were subjects that I was looking for, different topics that I went in looking for when I coded, and I found a variety of related topics and subjects. The courses themselves tended to begin the semester overviewing different elements of teaching. What is teaching? What is pedagogy? Why are we teaching? Maybe even a little bit about the history of voice teaching. Then the syllabi tended to go into topics related to posture, body mapping, awareness, things like that. Then transitioning and moving to elements of the respiratory system, breathing, physiology, breath management, those types of things. Then the syllabi tended to move to elements about phonation, coordination, anatomy, those types of things. However, after those three topics, the syllabi tended to diverge a little bit and things became a little more muddled. Elements relating to resonance and registration were intertwined, and some were before the other. One went first, then the other. Resonance first, registration first, then resonance, things like that. But typically, all of that was infused with elements about relating to the nature of sound or acoustics. The next portion of the course had to do with articulation, and if the course was a combined course with diction, this is where the instructors would put elements of IPA. After articulation would usually come an element of vocal health and related topics. And then at the end of the semester, or toward the end of the semester, this is where most of the syllabi included special topics. It really was more of a miscellaneous category where instructors could put various small topics that they wanted to touch on during their specific course, whether it was related to an element of private studio or teaching or auditioning, or in some cases, vibrato or hearing or practice strategies, things like that. Two subsets of the special topics category related to materials used for teaching, selecting repertoire, historical and current vocal pedagogy text, things like that, as well as a topic that is very specific to this study, choral singing. Elements like solo versus choral singing, rehearsal strategies, warm-ups and cool-downs, things like that. And then these courses kind of tended to come full circle. They began with elements of teaching and they ended with elements of teaching. How to teach, how to instruct, putting boots on the ground in terms of actually teaching vocal pedagogy, teaching voice to students. I also investigated vocal pedagogy class activities. As can be seen from the chart, anatomy and unit quizzes, teaching voice to fellow colleagues, observing the voice teachers at their school, at their institution, final projects, warm-up projects, leading the class in warm-ups, notebooks, voice lab visits, anatomy, art, and modeling type of activities, as well as voice technology activities were the most common vocal pedagogy class activities. Additionally, there's a list there you can see on the left of other types of supplementary activities that happened in these vocal pedagogy classes. As can be seen from this study, institutions have a wide variety of vocal pedagogy course requirements, ranging from no requirement, combination courses, 1 semester of vocal pedagogy, and in some instances, more than 1 semester of vocal pedagogy. For those institutions that have no vocal pedagogy requirement, instructors see the value but encounter systemic hurdles. They find creative ways to integrate this into the curriculum. However, I would question its level of effectiveness, something for future study. And then some universities and institutions don't require it specifically on the books, but strongly recommend it. So there's an element of the hidden curriculum there as well. Of the institutions that do have a dedicated vocal pedagogy course, we can see that there is a solid base of concepts being presented to students. There are elements of teaching embedded throughout all of the course concepts. We can also see that there is a wide variety of materials and texts utilized for these courses. There are a few textbooks that are more common than others, but by and large, there's quite a wide variety. There is, however, a common pool of activities. Among the most common are student teaching and teaching observations. However, within these two activities, there is considerable variety. For instance, with student required teaching, it ranges all the way from just in-class coaching of your classmates, ranging all the way up to 10 dedicated outside of class lessons. So there's quite a range there. Furthermore, some syllabi require students to teach outside lessons for just 18 minutes. And the top end of that, some syllabi require students to teach a full 60-minute voice lesson outside of class time. So within that particular activity, there's quite a range. Furthermore, teaching observations, some students are required just to observe one other teacher, while others are required to observe 8 or more. Of particular interest to this study is the choral focus versus private studio focus that emerged. Many of these syllabi are very private studio heavy. They're geared toward teaching in the private one-on-one setting. However, that's not the reality of our choral directors. Many of the course objectives kind of tip their hat, stating that this course is for solo and group singing techniques. However, oftentimes there are no materials, activities, or specific discussions to kind of support that objective statement. And in often cases, choral singing is relegated to special topics, kind of the miscellaneous category. It is imperative that our pre-service music teachers have a good awareness of group singing techniques. Elements of singing in a group setting have to be embedded in at every level of the curriculum, not just relegated to the special topics section. It's important to ask questions about how our students are receiving guidance within each of these activities. And I am constantly thinking about why we're not including more choral music education in vocal pedagogy courses. It is incredibly important that music teacher educators have a firm understanding of what vocal pedagogy concepts are being taught to our pre-service music educators. After all, they are on the front lines of education with our students. And so this is a worthy topic for investigation. And so thank you for being with me today. You can see the QR code to the handout there. Once again, my name is Joshua Chism from the University of Oklahoma, and this has been an examination of undergraduate vocal pedagogy courses for pre-service choral music educators. Thank you and take care.